Good morning. If you don't want to share your screen, that is absolutely fine, but it would be lovely if you could. Good morning to everybody. Hello, Ipsiter. Good morning,
Hey, good morning.
Thank you so much for your time. I know you're all super busy, and so I do really appreciate that you've taken the time out of your busy days to join me for this hour-long early years PYP meeting this morning. I'd just like to start really by saying a big thank you to all of you. I know how busy you are. I know how hard you are working to support your children with this hybrid learning and online delivery, and you are doing an absolutely remarkable job. And so I just wanted to start today by just saying a sincere thank you to you all. You know, the success, the progress that they're making, I know is it's a partnership, and certainly you are working so hard with them. So thank you very much. Okay, so I am going to now share my screen. Okay, so Miss Mia, can you hand over the sharing rights for me today? And then I will be able to share my screen. I can be host. So I hope everybody's okay this morning. Everyone all right? I can now, great. All right then. So, yeah. Okay, let's have a look. I hope everybody can see me. Can you see my screen? Yeah, thumbs
Yes,
up. Okay, as I say to the children, thumbs up everyone if you can see my screen. Excellent. Okay, so as I said, this is the early years and the primary years program information parent session. So this is the first one that I'm doing this year. So it's a great pleasure to be able to kick the year off, starting with my greatest passion, which is early years. For those of you that are not familiar with me, or I've not had the pleasure of teaching your child before, so I head up the early years team and the primary team. I've been teaching for almost 24 years now, and a large part of that, most of my career has been with early childhood, specialising in early childhood. It's truly my passion, and I continue to choose to teach this year level year on year. So I hope I can share today the amazing things that we're doing, the amazing things that your children are doing, and how we deliver our PYP program here at ACG. So the goals for this morning are for you to develop an understanding of what the primary years program in the early years means, what it looks like, and how we deliver that. We'll be talking quite a lot about inquiry and play-based learning. We'll also talk about student agency. You'll hear me talk about students having voice, choice, and ownership of their own learning. And quite a large part of this sharing meeting today is focused on learning environments and how crucially important they are in the early years. We'll have an opportunity for questions and answers later on at the end of the session. So if you do have any questions or queries as I present this morning, please do write them down, and we will certainly make time for those at the end. If we run out of time, no problem. I'm happy to have a Zoom call with you. I'm happy to follow up with you at any point next week, no problem at all. Okay, so we're going to start by really just thinking about what is the PYP and what does it mean. So to start with, it's the primary years program, and it's an inquiry-based model. And it's very much focused on real life situations. It's where students get to make decisions, they get to problem solve. We want them to research, and really, ultimately, we want them to take action in their own lives as a result of their learning process. Now, we often talk about units of inquiry in the PYP, and if you have read the newsletter, the unit newsletter, that will give you an idea about what a unit looks like, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. But within a unit of inquiry, really, we want to find out what the students already know, so that's what we call prior knowledge, and then together we want to work out what do we want to find out. How do we want to find out about this, and how best might we do that? And that's what true inquiry is. It's about students expressing their wonderings, their questions, their ideas. And then for us as a team, be able to go and explore, to problem solve, to hypothesize, and to find out in so many different ways. And that is pretty much what purposeful, hands-on inquiry is all about within the PYP. And you'll notice right at in the center are the learner profile attributes. That's putting the student at the heart of everything that we do. And when we talk about learner profiles, those are the things that we would like students to aspire to be. We want them to demonstrate those caring, principled learner profiles that I'm sure you're aware of from our monthly newsletters, when we can celebrate where students have demonstrated that. In kindergarten, students participate in 4 units of inquiry, and year 1 to year 6, it's 6 units. And again, I'll show you an example of these. And these units, we want the true full integration of all subjects. So maths, science, social studies, music, arts, PE, because that will give that depth of learning. And we will really truly have that transdisciplinary learning across all subjects. So this is just some kind of images, infographics that tell you a little bit more about PYP. And the fact is that, you know, for early learning in the PYP, it has to be holistic. It absolutely has to be. And that's what we truly believe in here at ACG. That holistic learning experience is about their social and emotional development. It's about their physical, their cognitive development. And in a PYP classroom in the early years, it takes place in an environment that strongly promotes play, purposeful, high quality play, discovery and exploration. So to the right, we have the learner profiles just to have a look at. And then to the left, we have what we call our approaches to learning. And they are, again, at the heart of what we do. It's really important that certainly in kindergarten, which are the ATLs, we call them ATLs for short, which ones would we be looking at in kindergarten? Which ones stand out, do you think? Which ones do you think we work on, those ATLs in kindergarten? Which is one of the first ones that we would hit as they enter kindergarten? Anyone got any ideas?
I think probably social skills and their self-management skills.
Perfect, absolutely. So we heavily focus on social skills, self-management skills, you know, that ability to be independent, to take care of themselves, whether that's toileting, hand washing, packing their backpack, and that's where parents can help at home to make sure that you really do foster those self-management skills, those independent skills, and that kind of readiness for school. And then moving on into year 1, the early years PYP, they would focus more on that research and really getting into research skills, thinking skills, problem solving skills, but certainly those 5 approaches to learning are an absolutely essential part of the PYP process. And, you know, they are designed so that students can apply them in all disciplines, and we want them to apply them at school and also beyond school and in their own lives. That at the bottom is an example of our kindergarten units of inquiry. So at the top, we have the central idea. Then we have the lines of inquiry, and that's what we use. Those are the big conceptual understandings there. We have function, causation. I'm going to move on to those in a moment, but they're what drive our unit of inquiry, and we inquire into these lines of inquiry one at a time. And we often start with the first one. And then, so at the moment, kindergarten parents, you'll know that we're working on the 5 senses. So the first thing we've been doing is exploring form. What are the 5 senses? Moving on to that connection. When we use our 5 senses, how do they make us feel? How can they influence our feelings? And then moving on to that concept of perspective. How do we use them to express ourselves? So we're right in the middle of that unit of inquiry now, and it's, as you'll know, it's very hands-on and exciting, multi-sensory, and they're learning in lots of different ways. So I talked a little bit about the concepts, and so of course within the primary years framework we have the PYP concepts. There's 8 of them there, and these are what are explicitly taught in our units of inquiry. So these feature heavily in everything that we do. So for the focus for our units of inquiry, we often choose 3 concepts, and we really drive that conceptual understanding in lots of different ways. We like to make, student-led posters. So you can see at Ipswich, you were here pre-pandemic. You can see your little boy there exploring causation in the water. We want to make those again, and what's the joy of having the students back on campus. As you can see, sadly, these students aren't wearing masks, but we want to develop that conceptual understanding, and we do make it explicit with the students. We use that language and we give them maximum opportunities to explore and develop their conceptual understandings in the units of inquiry. So we hope to make some more of those posters now the students are back in. I just wanted to talk about the term early learner, because I think, it's changed over time, and actually the early learner is a term that is used to refer to 3 to 6-year-olds. So for some of you, you might think that early learner, it's very much kindergarten, and when they get to year 1, they're no longer the early learner, but actually, kindergarten and year 1, they come under the umbrella of early years for sure. And it's really, really important that we do understand that. And, we value that time for these early learning years. We support our early learners in so many ways, and you'll keep hearing me talk about play. And there are 2 infographics here, 2 images. These have been taken directly from PYP, where we talk about play, relationships, learning spaces, agency. At the one on the top right, that's about the child, putting the child's voice, giving them choice and ownership over their learning. If children have agency, then they have buy-in, they are engaged, they will want to develop, they will want to learn. And if they are motivated and they want to learn, they will learn. So it's kind of looking at those 2 images and thinking about, how do we do that here at ACG? Well, these are some of the ways that we do it. We give them uninterrupted time for play. Now, when we talk about play, that's one word, but it can mean so many things to so many different people. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. But for us, play is playful learning experiences. It is high quality, purposeful, intentional exploration and inquiry. So play actually for our kindergarten and year 1s can mean a lot, but it's intentional, it's high quality, it's well planned, it's linked to the curriculum, and it's very much inquiry based. So we have time for students to, as I talked about concepts, inquire into concepts, but also develop their own personal interests. It's about the role of the teacher. How can we be intentional about our learning experiences, offer students support, create amazing, engaging learning spaces for them, give students time to inquire outside and indoors, because they offer amazing things. The outdoor space offers so many opportunities for children to do things on a greater scale, on a bigger scale. They can, they can use water, they can be loud, they can run, they can develop their gross motor. So that outdoor space in an uninterrupted time for outdoor learning is crucially important. And of course, given the pandemic and how much time children have spent indoors, that's really, really important for us, that they get that time to play and move and be free to develop all of those skills outside as well. We monitor and document students' learning very, very, very carefully. And we have, the wonderful digital platform of Seesaw. So that's where you will get that window into your child's learning every day. And, you will notice, I hope that you notice that when we share the learning, we give you information about what they did, how they did it, and the reference to the curriculum. What is it that they were learning? I can see that they were in the writing area, but what were they exploring? And then for us, as we document and monitor that learning, we then, as early years educators, we then plan targeted, personalized support and provision for all of our learners. And because of the way the room is set up and because of the way our schedule is created, it allows us flexibility to do that, to spend quality intensive time with children on a one-to-one. And I'm going to talk about time now on this slide. So what does it look like? We have a flexible schedule. So learning language and literacy and maths doesn't fit into one hourly block for an early learner. Maths continues across the curriculum. Language development continues across the curriculum in so many different ways. So for us, our schedule, our timetable is flexible. The role of the adult is flexible because we want to give our students the very, very best personalized provision based on what we know about them, where they need to go, what their next steps are, and what we need to teach in the curriculum. So actually, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy. We need to know our curriculum inside out, which we do. We need to know our students, we need to know what they're interested in, and then we can offer that tailored curriculum, which I'm really proud to say that we do. Literacy and numeracy experiences are planned and developed again in playful inquiry-based explorations, and that will be developmentally appropriate. So what it looks like in kindergarten, it will look different in year one. And I have so many examples of the amazing things that are happening in kindergarten and year one to demonstrate developmentally appropriate play-based learning experiences. So yes, everything is hands-on. They're using tools, they're using materials, but they are learning, and the learning is based on the curriculum learning outcomes. What do we need to teach them? What do students need to know, understand, and be able to do? They're the three big questions. Okay, this is what we know they need to do in maths and English, for example. The key is, and this is the creative part for us, this is where we have to get thinking so creatively, is how are we going to do it? Yes, we can give them a pencil and a paper. We can do it that way, but that's just one way. For us in early years, it's about giving them the very best, the most enriching, the most exciting ways to develop in all areas of the curriculum. We do that through our learning spaces. And we do that by documenting and responding to the learning journey of every single child. So I'm going to stop talking for a moment because I just want you to kind of have a think about this question, because I keep talking about play and play-based learning. It's about inquiry, explorations. What do you think? What do you think about play? What are your thoughts on play? And it can be anything. It can be one word. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Okay. What do you think about when you think about play? Anything, any word. Fun? Is it fun?
So before that it is fun, but after SCG I can see the play means something, learning. But I can see with this type of curriculum, and I really enjoy your way of teaching, so that when it's come to mind, oh, they're only playing, they're not exactly playing,
Yeah.
they're learning.
Yeah,
that's the way.
Thank you. And you're absolutely right. And I know Ipsity, you've been with us for quite some time, pre-COVID, post-COVID. Yeah. You know, to see your son and his learning journey that he's been on has been absolutely amazing. And I'm going to give some examples of that later. And you're right, it's about hands-on, it's fun, it's enjoyable. And do you know, it's innate. Children can't help play. It's how they learn, and it doesn't stop when they leave kindergarten. It doesn't stop, and it shouldn't stop. And I hope by the end of this presentation, you can have that understanding of the value of play-based, high-quality, purposeful learning experiences. So thank you for that. I will share my screen again. Just give me 1 second, and I will open that up again. So here we go. Can you all see that? Okay, brilliant. So for me, I'm thinking about play and what it means. You know, being an early years specialist, I've spent many years studying the work of very famous psychologists and early years theorists who've been studying play and the development on children for centuries. And, you know, these theories have developed a lot over the years, but the key, what is common in all of them, is how we do our best play and what it does for children and their development. Play is an absolutely crucial part. It's a vehicle for self-regulation, for promoting language, cognitive development, and their ability to play with others, to learn. And ultimately, it keeps our curriculum alive. It enriches our curriculum. And as I said earlier, it's truly a natural way that they learn. Children can't stop playing, and it is how they learn. And if you have skilled, passionate, knowledgeable educators who know how to develop a really strong play-based curriculum, trust us, they are learning. They are learning so much and completely holistically. And, you know, one of the quotes that I guess resonates with me is the one about this idea that play is, it's a luxury, it is a necessity, it's not a luxury. And that's one of the ones that really resonates with me. And this idea that it's not a relief from serious learning. Okay, you've done your worksheet now, off you go, you can play. But actually it really is serious learning. So there's just some really famous quotes by psychologists and play theorists that I've studied along in my career. So the Lego Foundation, if you're interested in learning more about play and play-based learning, they've produced many research papers on play. And I guess there's some quotes here that just kind of sum up what they believe play is from their research. So play to 3 to 5-year-olds, it's often referred to as a preschool period. It's when their language, their social and emotional skills, their cognitive skills are rapidly developing. And what they're basically saying is children have to play. It's absolutely essential that they play, they read, they sing, they interact in a high quality education setting. Okay, that we know. It prepares them, they make sense of the world, they develop their imagination and creativity, which we know. Imagination, creativity enables them to, it builds those lifelong 21st century skills that we need to equip our children with for the future that we don't know, and the jobs that we don't know that haven't been created yet. Now, interestingly, they study 6 to 8-year-olds. Okay, so what happens? Why is it important that we keep this play-based philosophy going? So play is often considered, as you know, 6 to 8 years old. They're kind of the early grades, the lower primary grades. Now, play-based learning continues to be critical, yet as they hit year 1, year 2, year 3, what happens? Play is not important anymore because we need those academic focused education approaches. But actually, in this period, they still need play-based learning approaches because they will transform the educational experiences of children at this stage. And crucially, do you know what it does? It strengthens learning motivation and improves outcomes. So what we do as a school at ACG School Jakarta, we look at, okay, what are we doing for our year 2 students and our year 3? How are they having those hands-on learning experiences where we can have enriching learning experiences across the curriculum? So of course, in kindergarten in year 1, you will see from the photo of examples, we're doing this so well. And, you know, I'm so proud of the team, the students, the team, and what they're doing in such a short time. So I feel really proud that, yes, Lego Foundation, we're doing that very well. So again, just looking at play. And when I talked about time and flexible timeframes, I just wanted to quickly talk through these, these images and the idea that the skills that are developed through play. So if we look, a child is curious. So they show that curiosity through play. They learn and discover new things. They find it's really fun. So you know what they do, point 5, they repeat it. Children need to repeat things over and over again because that takes the learning from surface level to deep level. They have to practice, they have to consolidate. And that's where our flexible curriculum, our schedule gives them that time to overlearn, to consolidate and reinforce. And then they master the skill. So it goes from, okay, I think I understand this. I've had lots of practice at this and wow, I've got it. And then I'm really, really confident. And now I can use and apply those skills. I can solve problems with those skills. Right, I'm ready for the next challenge. Now, a worksheet will not do that. They have to learn in so many different ways. They have to go through that cycle. And that's what play-based learning does. And then, of course, the balloons. Look at the skills that are developed. All of these skills are developed through play-based, high-quality learning, inquiry, and exploration. As you can see, I'm a passionate play advocate. And so what we will do now is we'll look at, well, what does it look like for us in kindergarten and year 1? Well, the first thing we do as a team, we look at our space. At the beginning of the year, we look at that blank canvas. We don't fill it with things. We let the students do that. So we start with that blank, that neutral canvas, and we think about our learning spaces and we move away from the traditional. We don't just want 15 desks in the classroom. Actually, what we want them to do, we want them to get reading in the reading den. We want them to have paired work. We want them to sit on the floor. We want them to go outside. We want big spaces, small spaces. We want collaboration. We want students, think about the ATL, self-management. We want our students to access resources independently. To do that, we have to be ahead of the game. We have to think really carefully about how we organize our classroom. And we do that in lots of different ways. So I'm now going to talk to you about all the different learning areas. The learning is evident in the dot points, as you can see. This gives you an idea of the range of sensory experiences, but just keeping in mind that these are relevant for kindergarten and year 1. As you can see, there's some students from year 1 there. They were making their own dough linked to their cultures unit. So they were weighing, they were measuring. In kindergarten, maybe they're just exploring. They're counting how many scoops. They're exploring the properties of water. They're filling, they're emptying, they're exploring the mathematical concept of capacity. So in the sensory area, we use rice for weighing heavy and light. We use pasta and we use flour, sand, water, Play-Doh, because these, and we use these for finger gym. So when a child learns to write, they start like this, but actually they need, before they get to here, do you know what they need to do? They need to start here. They need to develop this muscle. We do that by gross motor, getting them out, getting them painting on the wall. Okay, this is strong now. Then we move to this one. What can we do in the classroom? What kind of experiences can we give them? We give them Play-Doh. We give them big boxes of Play-Doh that they can stretch and they develop this. Then we move to here and then we move to here. We cannot do this unless we've done all this first. So that's where we give them so many sensory experiences in the classroom. Moving on to maths. What strikes you about the images, about the way the students in year 1 and 2 are learning? What the things that put a smile on my face when I look at these images of children learning maths? Are they learning maths through a simple worksheet where they have to complete the boxes, fill in the boxes? Absolutely not. The student in the middle, she's learning to count in tens. She's writing the numbers herself. She's on the floor. She's building a train to 100. She's doing work on her own. Look at the focus and the learning that's going on. Jay in there to the left, you know, she's using one-to-one correspondence. She's reading numbers. She's creating groups of numbers. I'm going to talk about loose parts. but that's so open-ended. There's so much Jayan can do with that. That it doesn't limit what she will learn about in number. We have Mohammed there, he's just joined us. He's showing such an interesting number. So we have to give him so many opportunities to develop and practice. So he's recognizing, he's counting, he's matching. There's color, there's shape, there's building that one-to-one recognition. And right at the bottom, we've got students interacting. Yours is longer than mine. How tall is yours? How many more blocks longer is yours to mine? So we have all the problem solving and the social skills. So in maths, it's limitless with what we do and the materials that we provide them. Of course, they will sit at a table and chair as well with the teacher, and they will have developmentally appropriate, targeted, focused maths in all strands. So number, pattern and function, shape, space and measures, and data handling. They will cover all those strands. They will do it in the learning areas. They will do it in pull-out groups, and they will do it on a one-to-one with the adults. And we carefully plan to make sure that we cover off what we need to cover in our learning, in our curriculum. Okay, so we'll move on to the writing area. One of my construction, I'm sorry, I jumped. This is always one of the children's favorite learning areas. The boys love it, the girls love it, and they can develop, as you can see, all those skills: hand-eye coordination, maths, problem solving, science, and safety awareness, communication. This is one where we have a lot of conflict resolution. So there tends to be one person that wants that red car, and there's a lot of, tugging. Well, I want that car. No, I want that car. I got that car first. So we do a lot of conflict resolution in this area, and that key aspect of cooperation, sharing, and social interactions. But they're measuring. They're learning about structures. We add maps and plans. We think about, certainly as they go to year one, what are you going to build? How are you going to build it? And what materials do you need? And that's where the structures comes in. 3D shapes. If you put a cylinder on the bottom of a structure, are the foundations secure? And we will sit in with them and we will test their theories. They will hypothesize, and they will explore lots of cause and effect. If I do this, this will happen. They use recycling materials. So the construction area, again, the learning is limitless, it's endless, and it hits all of the subjects, the single subjects: maths, science, social studies, language, communication, and vocabulary acquisition. So when they're playing, we will sit with them and we will talk about those shapes, and we will talk about the structures that they have made. The writing area, again, this one is, we very, very carefully plan this area to be developmentally appropriate. So what we do in kindergarten will look different to year one, perhaps, because the curriculum will guide us. So of course they're working on sight words, tricky words, keywords, they're building words, they're using phonics. We do pre-writing skills, hand-eye coordination. They will develop their story writing, their expression, their imagination, and their letter and their number formation. So they will do everything, but keeping in mind with writing, if we look at the strands, reading is one tiny part. There's speaking and listening, phonics, rhyme, alliteration, story writing, comprehension, ability to role play, to reenact stories. Again, there's so much to writing, and we have to make sure that we include all elements of our language curriculum in our learning areas. And just one of the points about language, it's everywhere. So you will notice in our classrooms that our environment is language and print rich. So students will be encouraged to write in the construction area. In the maths area, they will find a clipboard. In the home corner, we want them to write shopping lists. We don't want to limit writing to an area, so they will see it everywhere. Books are everywhere in our room. Writing materials are everywhere. We want our students to see writing as a mean of communication, So it's authentic and it's purposeful. And you'll see some examples of that in a moment. So a perfect example is our role play, our dramatic play areas. So where we'll put shopping lists in there, and then, you know, they'll be role playing with their friends. What do you need to buy from the shops? Students love the home corner when they first join kindergarten and year one, because it's the place that they can identify with. They talk about their home. They talk about food that their mummies and daddies have made and what they're going to make for their friends. I have some wonderful examples of little Tay there. He's sharing his food and he recounted some wonderful experiences from home, things that, you know, his daddy had made and the things he wanted to make for his friends, and he was sharing them. So there's lots of social skills, cooperation, and they adopt a variety of roles. And then you'll see Elsa there in the corner, she's feeding the baby, and that's that caring learner profile. So they bring their home experiences with them to school, and we play with them. We reenact roles. They love to play with us. And if you don't play like that with your child, I'm sure you do because you're all amazing, but if you don't, please do it. They will love it. And sometimes it's really hard. You know, they get the toys out and you find it hard. You're like, what do I do with this Barbie? What do I do? But anything that you do, they will love. So as I said to you, reading is everywhere. And that's why I've said plural areas. It's not just in one area. We do have a reading area that is brilliantly resourced. We have all their favorite books. We ask them, what are your favorite books? Gerald and Piggy. Okay. Miss Vanessa to Harry and Ursula, get me so many Gerald and Piggy, bring them to the classroom. Julia Donaldson, Peppa Pig, and we're learning about the senses. So we always make sure we have our unit of inquiry books. The role of the adult, you know, Elsa, she found me, and we've been reading the Polar Bear, and she said, Miss Vanessa, can you read this story? Of course I can. And we sat and we read the story and she loved it. And I love seeing the children take themselves off to that cozy space. Do you remember the way we set up our environment? We set up environments where students can be successful and they want to read. Some students don't want to read with the whole class. They want to find a little nook, and look at Akshad. He was so happy in the reading den with his magnifying glass, looking at what was going on in the story and looking at the images. Reading is something that we foster in all learning areas, and it's so important. Miss Nope is there using the puppets as well, because that just brings stories to life. The art and the collage area, of course, this is about fine motor control. It links with literacy. So with art, we bring in the language. So we've got the alphabet sponges there. Now, at the bottom photograph there, that's year one students. They were learning about cultures. How can they learn about countries in the art and collage area? I know, we'll get out the stampers, we'll give them some flags, and they can look at how that word is spelled. How do you write Italy? Okay, we can write it on with a pencil and paper, but isn't it better that they can stamp and they can use that paint, and they're developing their creativity, their hand-eye coordination, their fine motor control. I love the girls at the top. We've been doing Rangoli patterns, and the focus. They didn't talk to each other. They were very intentional. They didn't want to go over the lines. They wanted to focus on this activity. And again, you know, that the whole idea of hand-eye coordination and fine motor there. Lots of language development. Again, adults will sit in those learning areas, and we will talk to them about the patterns they've created and the colors that they've used and the shapes and the patterns. Okay, so moving on. The tinkering area, this tends to be, it does tend to be a gender, dare I say, a popular area with the boys. You know, it's kind of, they've probably seen maybe mum or dad, but they like to use the locks and the bolts, and they like to unpack them. And we're using real life materials. In kindergarten and year one, in the early years, we don't want to use plastics as much as we can. So wood and metal and things that they would use at home. So these are things that are very, very important to us. So it's looking at properties of materials. We talked earlier about concepts. The tinkering area is perfect for this. Form, what is it? Function, how does it work? So in kindy, when they first pick up a bolt, they don't know what to do with it. And some parents might feel quite fearful. It's metal, it's sharp. What if they get their fingers trapped? Well, these are all those life skills, aren't they? And we sit with them and we say, don't worry, this is how you do it. Can you solve that problem? And this is about, can you see the dot point about being a risk taker? That's really, really important, that they trial and error, that they use materials safely. You know, Jin in the middle, he's got the pins. And maybe that's something that you don't give your children at home, but actually they can develop, they can be safe, they can be risk takers because they have the practice at school. So there's maybe some things that you might want to use at home. The small world area. I love being in the small world area. We spend a lot of time and energy. We hunt over our weekends looking for things that we can put into our small world area. So real twigs, real branches, real nests, and just bringing those stories to life. So you will always see puppets and stories where they can reenact. So again, lots of language, lots of social skills. They take turns and they develop. It's also an area where they can explore emotions because they talk about characters. So actually the small world area is perfect for when they start to write their own stories. Something really important, if they can't act it out and say it, they're going to find it really hard to write it. We have to fill our children's minds with amazing stories. When they've read the story, they act it out in so many different ways. Then when they have done that, they have the language. What happens is they internalize the language of stories, and they can only do that by small world and by acting out. So that's really, really crucial before they make their own books. So there's a stage that they have to go through, and we can't rush that stage. And that, if there's one message you can get from today, please don't rush that. Please don't rush that stage. They need all of this as well. Loose parts. You will see that loose parts is featured in all of our learning areas because it gives them open-ended learning experiences that are child-centered. And again, Ipsita, you're the one that's been with us pre-COVID. I had to share this photograph of Akshad. He's 2 years old here. So we used loose parts, we used the shells for him just to learn how to use tongs and tweezers. That's all he did. Brilliant. That was such an achievement for him. Let's fast forward. Big boy Akshad now. What can he do in the kindergarten now with loose parts? He can use them to add and subtract. He can use them on a tens frame. The children in year 1 and kindergarten, they're using tens frames. They have to find the missing numbers. They have to make groups of objects to match those numbers. So it's grouping, it's sorting, it's naming. So loose parts can be developmentally appropriate for that age level. There's no age limit to loose parts. It's for us as knowledgeable, experienced, passionate educators to know what to do with them. So I challenge you, what can you do at home with loose parts? There's so much you can do. If you want some ideas, I can certainly share that with you. You could go on a hunt in your garden if you have one and find some pebbles. You can write with nail polish or with a marker pen the alphabet. We have them in school. We spent a fortune on customized from a company pebbles with the alphabet on. You can make them yourself. You can build words. You can make words, and we have them in kindy in year 1. So loose parts, we're a huge advocate of loose parts. So collect them at home. They're absolutely fantastic. Okay, we're nearly there. I'm not too bad for time. I just wanted to really talk about kind of the role of the adult and how it starts with us and our passion for what we do. It's about what we know about how children learn. How do children in the early years, okay, that's 3 to 6, how do they learn? That's the first thing. We know our children. We know what makes them tick. We know what they're interested. We know our curriculum. And then how do we do it? We're constantly working together to find exciting, enriching, and amazing ways to deliver our curriculum. So that's the first thing we do. We work collaboratively, knowing our children and knowing how best they learn. And how can we do that in the best way possible? How can we give them the highest quality play-based learning experiences at school? How can we do that? And we never stop learning, we never stop trying. We get down with them, we play with them, we spend time with them. We work on a one-to-one, as I told you. We scaffold them. We challenge them. They ask us for resources. If we can't find the resource, we take them to the resource room and we go and get them. We develop their interests. We give them voice. We listen to them. We give them that choice. Okay, you want to learn about shape, but what we have in our maths area, you're thinking of something else. What are you thinking about? Okay, you want that? Okay, let's go and find it. So we're constantly giving them that choice. If you go back to agency, you give them voice, you give them choice, you give them ownership. If they have ownership, they will learn. They will love what they do. They might not be able to tell you what they have learned, but they are learning. And I promise you, the learning is deep, very, very deep, because it has come from them. So our role is massive. We know and acknowledge that we are in one of the most privileged positions, because it's a great responsibility to prepare our students for their future schooling. So those early years, we want to get them right. So we know that we have a great responsibility in doing that. And that's why we work so hard to make sure that they get the very best from us, from our learning spaces, from our environment. And that's the way that we do that. Okay, nearly there. So I have another, I'm a big advocate of quotes. I think that they're inspirational and we have them in our learning environments. But I just want you to, to think about this. Let's not rush the writing process. It's there. We do it all the time. I promise you, we do it in so many different ways. It might be not as traditional as what you did, but I promise you we do. But there are many, many, many things that we want them to do with their hands. Writing is just one of them. Okay, that's one really important point to make. And now I'm going to stop talking. We've got 3 minutes. Maybe it's about 2 minutes. I'm going to hand over to our early years superstars. So enjoy this short slideshow that we have. I will just say before I press play, what a joy it is to have the students back on campus. I have only been able to put this presentation together because they're on campus. I can take screenshots of them at home, but you will see, and even when I put the slideshow together, seeing the learning that is going on in school in just a term. I mean, we can count on maybe one hand how many sessions they've had in school and what they have done. So I'm sorry if we don't have all the children on this slideshow. It's early days, we're getting them in, but this is just a snapshot to show you what the kinds of amazing things that they're doing. my screen. Oh, look at that, 11:26. That wasn't bad timing at all, was it? I know, I thought maybe I'd go over. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. It's been amazing to see you all. I just love talking about this kind of stuff, as you know. It truly is my passion. And if you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them now while we've got some time. Anyone? Or comments or questions, anything at all. Come on, learner profile attribute, risk takers. Who's going to be a risk taker? Jins, Mummy Ray, good morning.
Hello, how are you all? I have no question, but I just comment. Thank you for the making so lovely video to us. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, and I'll make that available for you. The recording's available for you, for those of you. And I would, of course, I know everybody's really busy, but I guess it's really important, you know, this message and kind of what we're doing in early years in kindergarten in year 1, and that you can share this information with any parents that couldn't make it today. That would be wonderful. And if any of you would like some further information, whether it's the Lego Foundation, more about early years and PYP, I'm more than happy to send you that, of course. But thank you so much, Ray. Thank you. And there's the wonderful Miss Vinny. Miss Vinny, thank you so much for joining us at the end. You know, Miss Vinny's new to year 1 this year, and I'm just so proud of the year 1 team and the absolutely outstanding work that is going on in the classroom and the learning with the children. You know, I walk into year 1 and I'm always learning. We never stop learning. Early years teachers never stop learning. And I go in, I'm like, oh, Miss Vinny, you've done this today. Where did you get this idea from? It's amazing. And so, you know, bravo, Miss Vinny and Miss Rosa. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing and continue to do with your amazing year 1 learners.
Thank you, Vanessa. And I also want to say thank you to the parents for supporting us. And I want to say is please do send your children to the classroom, to school, because they are fully engaged. They are so excited to be in the classroom. And because they get to touch, they get to explore. You know, there was this saying where you tell me, I forget, but when you get me involved, I remember. So that's how it is with the learning areas in the classroom. They explore, they extend, they also put in practice what they have learned, the theory, right? So they actually get the concept behind it, right? So I just want to say thank you so much. We are super excited. Thank you, Vanessa, for guiding us. And just super excited to see the students fully engaged all the time. We are having a very good time as teachers.
They are indeed. Thank you so much, Miss Vinny. Happy Diwali. You look gorgeous today. I do have a question from one of the parents, and it's about how you support your kids to play at home. Wow. So how do you support? Okay, open-ended, sit with them, sit on the floor and play with their toys. Just that one simple thing. Go in their bedroom. What are you playing? Wow, can I play? And if you're not in a habit of doing this, or it doesn't come natural, they might look at you and be like, oh, you want to play with me? Okay, sure, come on. And, you know, even so, my daughter sometimes, can you play Barbies with me? And, you know, I've been at work all day and sometimes I think, oh, really, do I have to? But I know it means so much. So if you're asking me even as a mom, so board games, get some board games, play a board game, teach them a simple board game. Scrabble Junior is a good one. As a family, we play Monopoly. And you know, Lola's in year 2, so she's just learning that and the money and the value of money, but it's taking turns and they have to share and learn the rules of games. So I would say, make Play-Doh. I have an amazing recipe for Play-Doh. I think if you kind of pick up any of the ideas from today, you could do any of it, but just play, get down on their level, sit on the floor. It's the simple things. And, you know, it's not really even about supporting them to play at home. It's giving you their time. It's talking to them, just giving them the time. And I know that is really difficult at the end of a working day. If you're a full-time working mom and then you have, you know, having to have that time and dinner and all the other things you have to do. I know it's challenging. I know. But then if you're full-time supporting your child during this hybrid delivery, I know that that is really busy for you as well. And actually you're doing it all. You're doing an amazing, amazing job anyway. But I would keep it simple. give them your time, play with their toys, and just be there. I hope that answered your question. Just be the amazing parents that you are. You're amazing because you're here today. You've taken time out of your day to join me. I'm sorry that, you know, it was heavily based on me talking, but I hope that it was also informative. Next steps, I do really want to see if things calm down out there with the pandemic, that we can get maybe very, very small groups of parents together to come onto campus. I can't promise anything right now, but my goal, my hope is that we can maybe get a couple of parents for an hour session where they come in, maybe in term 3, they come in, they see what's going on, like we did at Ipsita when we had the Let's Investigate session. Ipsita will remember that. She came and you played in the environment, you played with Akshad, you saw what we're doing. And so hopefully, as things calm down, things settle down, we get the green light, and we would really like that. So what I'm not talking about the whole class of parents, but maybe having a schedule of 2 or 3 parents to come in and play with us. Is that something that you'd be interested in? Excellent.
Yes, I'd definitely like to be a part of that.
Brilliant. You are welcome. If you know, we have an open door policy here. I'm just so sorry the pandemic has shut it firmly shut right now, but hopefully in time, you know, we're getting on. It's almost 2 years, isn't it now? And again, just thank you. Welcome to our new families. So nice that you were able to join us today. Just thank you for everything that you're doing. And on that note, I think I will let you go and enjoy your day. Go and get yourselves a coffee and enjoy the time while they're still at school, right? Enjoy this free time. Yeah, I know.
Thank you so much, Miss Vanessa.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.